The pros and the cons of seller financing in 2023. Hey gang, this is Mike with my Real Estate Dojo. So let's dive in. I want to talk about the pros and the cons of creative financing, owner financing, seller financing, subject twos, wraps, etc. Okay, in this video. Let's talk about the pros. Number one, well, there's ultra low interest rates floating out there. There are people out there that have almost 0% mortgages on 30-year notes, which is unheard of in the history of America till just recently. So that's one very positive aspect of seller financing. Number two, another positive is that there's going to be massive amount of motivated sellers out there because if you don't remember, just a few years ago, they stopped the court system. There was like 7.7 million people behind on their house payments, okay, that were going to foreclosure. So those people are still out there. But then you add on to what's going on today, more job cuts, more job losses, and the volume of motivated sellers are just going to increase, which is another pro for seller financing in 2023, okay? Another benefit of seller financing in 2023 is the way I structure the deals. I always negotiate a non-recourse loan. Simply put, that means that I only pledge the collateral as I only pledge the house as a collateral. I'm sorry, I freestyle everything. And instead of putting my social or my company EIN number, I don't do that. So the average investor, the average home borrower, when they go borrow money from a lender, not only do they put their social security up, but they also put their house as a collateral up when they sign a deed of trust, DOT, okay? But what I do is I only put up the house. I don't put up my social. So in case I default, the seller's remedy is just to take the property. They're not going to be able to take the property and come after me or my business, because when we negotiated a non-recourse loan, which is very, very powerful. You're not going to be able to get that with a traditional FHA or a VA or your traditional bank mortgage, okay? That's why I love seller financing, okay? In 2023, why I love seller financing is because many of these home sellers have already paid off, let's say 2, 3, 4 years of their mortgage payments, okay? And if you don't understand about the amortization, which means that the first 10 years, that borrower is paying mostly that monthly payment. Let's say that monthly payment is $1,000. Out of that $1,000, maybe $700 is going towards interest, and only $300 is going towards principal reduction, right? Because of amortization, because the banks gets their interest before they pay off the principal, or you pay off the principal from the payments you sent to them. Well, if someone's been living in the property 5 years, 6 years, all the payments they've been making has been going off towards the interest. So whenever I take over their payments, or whenever I do seller financing, I start making their payments for them. I'm paying more towards principal reduction versus interest, because again, of the amortization, the first 7-10 years, they're going to pay mostly interest out of the payments that they send to the bank versus principal. So the older the loan, and I create some kind of creative financing, is beneficial for me, because when I make a payment, I'm paying more principal reduction versus paying the banker in interest, because the banker gets all their interest up front. All right. Now, another benefit of seller financing in 2023 is that I don't have to pay all the junk fees. You know, what do I mean by junk fees? Like all the closing formal fees. You know, there's all these paperwork and notaries and title policies and, you know, attorney fees, and I mean, they added up. I could pay anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000, you know, not including title policy. Depends on what, you know, where do I go and what the price of the property is, okay? I'm able to control that and pay what I want, like kind of like a cafeteria where you get to pick, okay, I just want to buy this dish and this dish versus a combo whole meal, okay? Another benefit of seller financing in 2023 is that I don't have to use my credit. I don't need to have a lump sum of cash. I don't need to have the purchase price. So if this house is worth, let's say $200, I don't have to have the $200, okay? Because the seller is going to finance it for me. They're going to become my bank, okay? So as you can guess, I can go on and on and on about the positives of seller financing in 2023. But I want to now focus on the cons of seller financing, creative financing, subject twos in 2023. The very first one is, which is one of the most important ones in 2023 that has never happened before, is the due on sell clause. Now, I believe, this is my opinion, I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not an attorney, but if I was a bank, this is what I would be thinking. The interest rates on old loans are almost 0%. Now I'm the bank. Now I'm lending out the same exact mortgage for 6%, 5% interest rate, okay? An older loan, I was lending it out at almost 0%. So if I was the bank, there's more chances of me calling the note in if I saw there was a transfer of title, okay? Because I can take my money back and now re-lend it at a 5% versus 0%, okay? Where if you look back in history, 2006, 2007, 2008, the seller financing that I was getting from Homeowners Direct, they had higher interest rates versus the current time, because after the market crash, interest rates start becoming all the way down to where it became almost 0%. Where before the 2006 fourth quarter crash, interest rates were, I took over some people's payments that had like 7%, 8%, 9% interest rate, because they had bad credit, but the bank still lent them money, and there was some crazy interest rates, but people, were getting them. So the point I'm trying to make is, in the last crash, interest rates were high and then they dropped. So the bank didn't have an incentive to foreclose, right, on a property that was performing, to lend out the money at a lower interest rate. Where today is the total opposite. Today, people that are motivated have ultra low or almost 0% interest rate, and today the bank can lend it out at 5%, 6%, depending on the credit, right, of the individual. So it increases. The con is that it increases the due on sell, even if the loan is performing, because the bank can now afford to pay the foreclosure, afford to pay the realtor, afford to pay the holding fees, afford to resell it, and because they're going to get a lot more money from the interest rate. Now, some of you guys would say, well, 5% is not that much, but what you don't understand is, on a $100,000 home at a 5% interest rate on a 30-year amortization, that person's paying almost $300,000, $400,000 on a $100,000 home. So 5% is a lot of money when you amortize it versus simple interest. And so I'm not going to get into that. So one of the biggest cons for me in 2023 is that there's a higher probability that bank may call the loan due, even if it's performing. What that means is, even if I'm making the payments and the loan is current, there's a risk that the bank can call the note due, because they could take that money and reinvest it, re-loan it out, and get a higher interest rate, which increases my chance as a risk. Okay. And in 2023, another con that no one ever talks about, because they're trying to sell you courses and books, and is that what's happening in the world economy, guys. There's a big chance that someone's going to push that red button, and the world that you and I know is going to disappear because of what's going on around the world, the conflict, the physical implication that we have with who in Europe. So no one's talking about that. This is why I always do these videos, say kiss your kids, spend time doing what you love, because at any minute, ladies and gentlemen, someone can push this button. Okay, even though they're not talking about it on TV, the talking heads and newspapers, but we're at a world at war. There's many countries involved in it. And one of the biggest risks in 2023 and moving forward is that the world, the beautiful bubble of America that we know of security and stability, can be wiped away because of war. Because we're at kinetic war with a highly competitive athlete that's at the same level, if not higher. And even the media in America tries to play them dumb, like wrestlers are dumb, they're not that smart, but that is not the truth, ladies and gentlemen, okay? And we've never, we bombed a lot of third world countries and people that were inferior and were superior, but we never went toe to toe with someone that was as good, if not better than us, and that that they're fighting their hometown. So one of the biggest risks in 2023 in seller financing is that you can buy a home and wake up one day and it's demolished because of a cruise missile, because of some kind of nuke, or because of some kind of bomb, or because of some kind of war. Okay, and that is one of the biggest risks of entrepreneurship, real estate investing in today's era versus anything else, is that at any moment the bubble that we know can immediately deplode. Okay, the comforts that we are accustomed to, and no one ever thinks about that in America because we think this is never going to happen here. And the third biggest risk that no one talks about in seller financing in 2023 is the petrodollar, or the world reserve currency, deploding. You can see the dollar has lost so much of its value, aka called inflation. Okay, let me tell you a quick story. I was at the gym and there was 3 old timers, right? And I heard these guys talking, and they were smart. They knew what was going on in America. They were saying America's bankrupt and we can't fight these wars. These old timers, right? And like they'd gone through wars. And I stopped and said, look, man, you guys are the smartest Americans that I've seen so far, and I've talked to you in a while. You guys are like, know what's going on. You know what's going on with inflation. You know that we're bankrupt. You know what's going on, how we're bombing all these countries. You guys are in tune. And the guy looks at me and said, okay, what is your favorite candy, son, that you like to buy when you were a kid? I said, well, and he didn't say when you were a kid. He said, like, do you like to buy? I said, well, I don't eat candy, sir. He said, just give me something. I said, I don't know. I don't eat candy. I don't like candy. He said, okay. Just, do you ever buy Snickers? I'm like, yeah, my mom, in high school, she loved Snickers. And when I was younger, she made me go and buy it for them. And I would pay like $1 for them, right? For those Snickers for her. And he said, son, back in the days, I used to only pay 1 nickel for a Snicker. Today, you get that same Snickers, for $1.50 to $2, and I believe the guy, right? He used to pay 5 cents for what I used to pay $1 when I was in high school, where today you're paying $2 plus for. Okay, and that's inflation. And these old timers knew exactly what was happening, and it really shocked me because the average American is clueless what's going on. They're clueless of what's going on with their life energy. Inflation. They're clueless what's going on with the war around the world. They're clueless what's going on with, all the propaganda they're being forced down their throat. People know more about the Kardashians. People know more about the football scores, and they know what's going on in their own environment. And and this is one of the biggest risks of seller financing in 2023, that the petrodollar is in crucial jeopardy. And when the petrodollar dies, the life in America, the world of abundance that we have is going to be taken away because we don't produce anything. Okay, the reason we're rich as we are is because our government and our central bankers are able to print money, send it to China, send it to all these countries around the world, and extract their natural resources while we give them fake dollars. And because of that, because we can print the money, we are the richest country in the world. All right, and not because we're the best manufacturer, or we make the best gadgets, or our workers are the most smartest, or the kids are the most smartest. No, it's the opposite. Our kids are failing at a higher pace. Our homeless society has increased. Our people are obese as hell. They're less active. They're more entitled. And they have all the symptoms of a weak link, with the exception of few. Right? As a whole, I'm talking on average, versus like you look at like people in Russia, man, or you look at people in other countries where we starve to with sanctions, like Venezuela. Those people are tough, dude. They gotta make it with no food, right? Our people don't even know how to. If they don't have their cigarettes, they don't have their booze, they don't have their little pills they pop, they'll go crazy. If they don't have their food stamps, they'll cause riots, right? These people haven't eaten over there for days. Their kids, they watch their kids starve. You don't think they're tough? Man, see, you don't know what tough is, right? Because most people in America don't know how to sacrifice, so they think they're tough, right? But the problem is that this is one of the biggest problems in real estate, is that our petrodollar, or reserve currency, is on the verge of collapse. The other is war, and the other is higher interest rates. All these three things increase the risk of seller financing, in my opinion, in 2023. Not only seller financing in real estate, just real estate, entrepreneurship, starting a business, taking risks. Everything the risk has increased so much. The Titanic is sinking and no one knows about it because they're drinking the booze and then dancing. Anyways, guys, love to hear your thoughts below. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm not a politician. I'm not a political. I'm not on the left. I'm not on the right. I'm your brother and sister. You're my brothers and sisters. And, I'm just looking out for the people. You know what I mean? The most important part of the world. And I'm not for Russia, I'm not for India, I'm not for America, I'm for the planet, Mother Earth. I believe that we're all the same. It doesn't matter if you're Indian, Mexican, Chinese, you're all my brothers and sisters. Much love to you, peace and pride to you, your race, your culture, and be your dreams, man. Don't take no for an answer. Always remember, you're braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, smarter than you think, and twice as beautiful as you imagine. Romy, peace.